Few people can blend science, humour, and straight talk like today's guest, Craig Harper, a pioneer in Australia's performance and health space since the 80s.
Your mind is basically the control room for your life. And if you can't control your mind, you cannot control your life.
Craig's worn many hats: exercise scientist, AFL conditioning coach, best-selling author, and now PhD candidate in neuropsychology. He's also the host of the hit podcast, The You Project, where he explores the messy, fascinating world of human potential.
They like the idea of transformation and growth and improvement, but they won't do the work.
With his dry wit, big brain, and no BS take on behaviour, resilience, and metacognition, Craig is a breath of fresh air in both academia and personal development. Please welcome to the podcast, Craig Harper. I am joined by Craig Anthony Harper, who I am not going to put on a pedestal, but hey, I think if the crown fits, I have loved listening to your podcast, reading your content, picking your brains for so long. So I'm so excited to have you on the show. Welcome, Craig.
Oh, so nice of you. And self-esteem back intact. Lucky me. I don't even need to go to therapy this week. So
oh, great.
Thanks, Breanna. Thank you. It's super nice of you. It's good to see you. It's good to connect with you. And I'm glad that I can be a tiny positive influence on Planet You.
Thank you so much for everything. And I was doing my notes thinking, okay, I get to chat to Craig. There's a million things I can talk to you about because, like you said, you're 61 and you don't stop learning and you love lots of things. But what I'm super fascinated in and have been following along for a few years is your PhD research. Can you please explain in layman's terms what you're researching and why you chose that topic?
Yeah. Okay. So I might build into it with some kind of preliminary stuff, which will make the actual PhD make more sense, but it's all interesting. So if we think about how we think, we call that metacognition. So thinking about thinking is a process, or it's a construct in psychology called metacognition. And so I'm really a big proponent of and a big supporter of people starting to think about how they think and why they think the way they do and where their stories came from and why they look at the world through the window that they do and the way that they give things meaning and power and influence and the stories that they tell themselves, and in a way trying to understand our own mind. So that's metacognition. And then the next one up from that, which is really, really important in terms of, like for you you're a teacher, you're a coach, you're a communicator, you're a podcaster, you're a lot of things, right? You're a problem solver for people, you're many things. But so for you, communication is paramount, and understanding how other people think and what other people need and what's going to land with people, what will resonate with Craig will probably be a problem for Brian, will really be quite confusing for Sally and inspirational for John, although you've said the same thing. And so the ability that we have to understand how other people think is called theory of mind. And so that is a real interpersonal superpower. Your ability to not necessarily agree with, but just go, oh, like if you can sit across the table from someone and have a conversation with somebody, even if you don't agree on everything or many things, but you at least have an insight into what is their version of right now or this experience, then you can build connection and rapport and trust and respect. All great things when we're having an interpersonal exchange. So at the base of this, almost this cognitive pyramid is metacognition. The next layer up is theory of mind. And then the next two layers are my areas of research, which is meta-perception and meta-accuracy. Meta-perception is your ability, in this instance, Breanna, your ability to understand the you experience for others. And so the most basic of basic questions at the bottom of all of my research is, what's it like being around me for the rest of the world? And there's a really interesting thing in psychology called the false consensus effect. And what it means is that people assume that other people think like them. And when we talk about it out loud, you go, well, we know that's not true. But in the moment, we assume, for example, that my intention will be your experience. So I'm going to say something to you and my intention's good. But you don't live in my intention or my mind. So you might interpret the words that are coming out of my mouth as offensive or inappropriate or something else, or perhaps uplifting or magical. Who knows, right?
Mm.
But operating in a interpersonal space, a communication space, leadership space, teamwork space, management space, parenting space, whatever it is, from the perspective of whatever comes out of my mouth will be received by them the way that I intend it. Well, that's a flawed paradigm, right? That's a
Mm.
recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for social disaster. So assuming that people don't think like you is a good starting spot, because they don't,
Mm.
which is why you and I are in the same conversation, but not the same experience,
Mm.
because you're not in my head and I'm not in yours. Now, let's say 10,000 people listen to you and I right now. They're listening to the same people, the same words, the same stimulus, the same inbound stimulus to their mind, but probably no one's having an identical experience to anyone else regarding how they feel about, think about, or respond to what they're in the middle of right now. So understanding that. So that's meta perception, is your ability to understand how other people perceive and process you. And why that matters is because, if you might think you're being funny, but to them you're being offensive. It's true, isn't it? Right?
Mm.
I'm an example. I've said lots of
Yeah.
things that to me, uh, like I swear a lot. I might swear. I'll try not to swear today, but I swear a lot. And I've got a book with the F word on the front cover that I've written. And I don't swear because I think it's funny or I'm trying to be, that's just how I talk. So if you
Mm.
see me at the cafe, I'll talk to you the same way as I talk on the podcast. There's not a persona and a person. Like I don't
Mm.
have a special Craig that comes onto the show. Like the
Mm.
Craig on the show is the Craig that you meet doing his lawns out the front of his house. That's the same
Mm.
Craig. So
Mm.
I try to ensure as much as possible there's no gap. But I also know that when I swear, when I'm making a point and I swear, some people will laugh, some people will be more inspired, some people will be offended, some people will stop following. And I understand all of those responses. And so one of the biggest challenges for us, period, is just knowing that whatever you think, the person in front of you probably doesn't think that. And that's not good or bad, and they're not right or wrong. It's just navigating life with that level of social and situational awareness is a big advantage.
Do you ever feel like you spend so much time observing and thinking about thinking? Because I've had this experience myself where I'm like, I'm very aware, being a teacher too, being aware of the fact that this isn't landing for that person. That person's got their own experience. They're going to perceive me differently. And so if you're always being aware and you're always being self-aware and aware of others, have you had the experience that it kind of can drive you away from presence?
Um, well, for me anyway, quite the opposite. It makes
Mm.
me be more present because I'm right now thinking about what this is like for you, what this is like for your audience. And so when I'm in front of, I do over 100 corporate gigs a year. If I'm in front of an audience like real humans in a real room, not a virtual room, but real humans, yes, I'm aware of my content and the thoughts and ideas that I'm sharing and the way that I'm doing it, but I'm also trying to, in real time, pay attention to what's happening around me. So, and that doesn't mean I'm distracted or preoccupied, but once you stand in front of a lot of people a lot of times, and you have a sense of this is working, this is not working. They're
Mm.
engaged. Um, I'm doing okay. We're doing okay. This is of interest. This is of value. Versus there's a bunch of people not looking at me and looking at their phone. And there's even a few people over there chatting to each other. And this is a catastrophe, right?
Mm.
So, but it is a good question. And it is a challenge because you do want to go in with that level of awareness. But also, to your point, you want to be in the moment and intuitive and instinctive and present. So
Mm.
it can be a challenge. And also You want to be aware of how other people perceive things without being paranoid about whether or not they like you. That's not what we're talking about.
Mm. And then okay, so you mentioned meta accuracy. If
Yeah.
you're, say, presenting or walking into a room and you're aware of how it's landing, or you think you're aware of how it's landing, you think you're aware of other people's perception,
Yeah.
how often are we correct in our perception of that? Or we've read the room a certain way, but how do we know that that's the correct reading of what you see?
Yeah, 100%. And look, I mean, there's no absolute definitive answer to that, but generally speaking, the energy in the room, the faces that you see, the participation, the engagement, the outcomes, the feedback at the end of the presentation. Like, I'm pretty sure that if I talk to 100 people, one or two people are going to think I'm a dickhead, right? That and I don't blame them. And sometimes they're right. So it's not about trying to keep everyone happy. It's about, like, because of what I do, which is I share thoughts and ideas and strategies all around, personal development, personal growth, behavioral psychology. The core of my message is how do I think better, do better, be better, create better, right? That's it.
Mhm.
And then, so I'm always trying to think, how do I share this thought or this idea in a way that connects with the most people and lands? Because I can talk like a researcher or an academic, and that's really just my ego and my bullshit. And I'm probably going to create more problems than solutions, even if everything I'm saying is correct and relevant and well researched and scientifically valid. But if I'm not speaking a language that lands with the audience, well, why am I doing it? So,
Mm.
yeah, I think over time, look, and I think people find their way to you. It's like you have a certain philosophy and ideology and energy and way of communicating and presenting. And I'm sure there'll be some people that are like, take her or leave her, and other people that like, you're the shit. I just love
Mm.
you. You're
Mm.
amazing. Like, I get you. You're down to earth. You're real. You ask good questions. You're kind of like me.
Mm.
You know, it's, I think some people resonate with me because I'm not a genius. I'm not athletically gifted. I'm not a freak. Nothing has come particularly easily to me. I've done some really good things, but not because I was innately brilliant or talented or genetically gifted, but because I tend to outlast most people who start on the same day as me.
Mm. And on that, you've said something before, which is probably one of my favorite things that you've said, which is constantly choosing comfort is the dumbest fucking thing we can do. And you've
Yeah.
said nothing that you've done has come really easy. Why do you believe that choosing comfort is the dumbest fucking thing we can do?
Well, I mean, there are times when I'm talking like broadly, like if your internal sat nav is programmed for comfort, then good luck trying to build strength. Good luck trying to become resilient. Good luck trying to build skill, knowledge, understanding, awareness, cognitive flexibility. Good luck, because you won't build it, right?
Mhm.
It's like you sitting on the metaphoric couch and saying, fitness really matters to me, but I'm definitely not going for a run. I'm not going to lift any weights. I'm not going to do any push ups. I'm not going to stretch. But fitness is really important to me while I'm sitting on the couch eating fucking chips. So, oh, I've done it. I've sworn. Sorry, everyone.
I
Um,
think they're used to it.
but look, and I'm not talking about choosing discomfort in a reckless, silly way. I'm talking about going where you grow. Like when we think about the analogy between growing in terms of cognitive flexibility or resilience, emotional resilience, and all of those things, and the gym. So the idea in the gym is we go and we do something hard. We lift a weight, we run on a treadmill, we do some skipping, we work against some kind of resistance. And what happens if we do it the right way often enough is our body adapts, our body changes. So our body becomes literally different. So it's
Mm.
still our body, but now it's a stronger version. Now it's a more flexible version. Now it's got more speed and balance and power and muscular endurance and aerobic endurance because I did hard stuff. And that new fitness and that new strength and that new muscle, that different body composition is a byproduct of me doing what many people avoid.
Mm,
Like a lot of people, we want the reward without the work. That's why you think about what really sells in health and wellness, quick fixes, the
mm,
things that sell the most. Like if I get on and I go, hey, this is how you get in shape. Well, you do stuff that's hard. It's not going to be fun, quick, easy, or painless. You're going to have to change your diet. That's going to be tricky because you're probably pretty emotionally and even perhaps biologically addicted to certain foods, right? So that's going to suck for a while. Also, you're going to be sore after you work out. Also, it's not going to happen rapidly. And you're like, well, that's not appealing at all. But
mm,
what is appealing is this pill. What
mm,
is appealing is this result without the effort, this promise of this magic, whatever, this pill, this powder, this potion, this program, this product, this service, this guru. Oh my God, you mean I can get to the top of the Everest without any climbing? I can be at the top without work. Yeah, sure. I can get jacked without, lifting weights or having muscle soreness or yeah, of course you can just buy this. Right?
mm,
And we know. That's not to say everything's got to be a grind or a slog, but show me one person who's really, really adaptable and resilient and tough who hasn't done a lot of hard things.
mm. It's
That-
so true. And I've been thinking a lot recently about AI and how AI is potentially further perpetuating this instant. You don't even have to write your own stuff now. You don't have to, there's so many shortcuts everywhere we go now. And I wonder what that's going to do long term for people's mental health, what that's going to do for people's skill set, resilience building, all of these things. But at the same time, I see, like for me, I'm also noticing I'm in an echo chamber potentially, but it seems like a lot of people are doing a lot of self-development work. They think I should say, maybe they think they're doing self-development work. That is, they're thinking a lot about their stories. They're thinking a lot about their traumas. They're thinking a lot about their past. They're thinking, but are they actually changing? And therefore, is the self-awareness actually creating change or more, as you would say, stuffication? Is it stuckification?
Yeah.
Have you noticed this sort of strange place where people become maybe more self-aware, but not necessarily less stuck?
That is a good observation by you. That is a good insight. That is a great question. Yeah, like there's a big gap between knowing what to do and doing what you know.
Mm,
There's a big gap between, oh, I should do this and I am actually doing it. And I'm not only am I doing it, I've been doing it for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. And there's a big gap between um, this is a thing that I do sometimes when I'm in the zone and I'm motivated and I'm inspired and the weather's right and I've got a cheer squad. And this is a habit. This is an ingrained behavior. This is a non-negotiable. So when someone says to me, for example, who isn't genetically gifted or all of that, how do you, and because I train every day, right? So I've pretty much trained every day since I was the fat 14-year-old and got unfat, right? So I was morbidly obese when I was 14, you know that. I was 15 kilos heavier when I was 14 than I am now.
wow.
I was almost 100 kilos, right? Um, and the reason that I'm in good shape and I'm fit and strong and all of that is not because I'm better than anyone. I'm definitely not because I've got great genetics or I'm smarter. It's not. It's because I do the things that produce that result. And the way that I think, which is not, it's not a recommendation for anyone else. It's just, I think I can't get another body. This is the only body I've got. So I want to do the best that I can with my not very good genetics. With my parents, my dad's had 2 heart attacks. My mum's had cancer 3 times and a heart attack, right? So it's not like, wow, I won the genetic lottery. So
Mm,
what I do is I go, all right, how do I get the most out of my brain? How do I get the most out of my body? How do I get the most out of my potential and time and skill and resources? What matters to me? You know, and we are very good at the theory of self-help.
mm,
But to me, self-help is a process, not a
mm,
product.
mhm,
And in a at the risk of sounding like a grumpy old bugger, I get sick about, not sick of, but I'm not as patient as I once was with people who talk about shit they're going to do but never do this shit. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, come on, come on. It's like, yep, it's not going to be fun, quick, easy, or painless, and that's okay. And so what we're trying to do is, I say to people, what is it that you want to change about whatever your work or your job or your business or your brand or your body or your outcomes, your relationships? What is it that like what really matters to you? Like what are your values? What are the important things to you? And then based on those things that you want to change or do or be or create, what is a non-negotiable? And then easier said than done, but it's like I eat 2 meals a day because 2 meals a day works for me. I
Mm,
wouldn't recommend that for you because you're not me.
mm.
But for me, when I eat breakfast and I eat dinner, um, I stay lean. My brain works really well through the day. If I eat lunch, I get tired. I get full. That's like my IQ goes down 30 points. Um, I don't drink booze. I don't smoke cigarettes. I've never been drunk. I've never been high. I've never had a glass of beer. Again, not a recommendation. Just figuring out how I work. Like, I think
Mm,
we should all try to figure out, how does my body work best? Like, what are the things that I should do to make this thing that I have that I can't replace somewhere close to optimal for me?
mm.
That's what I'm fascinated with. How do I make my brain at 61 maybe be as good or better than when I was 31? How do I do that? Maybe I'll do a PhD. Maybe I'll keep learning. Maybe I'll keep solving problems. Maybe I'll keep putting myself in situations that are not easy or fun, but produce great results.
And I suppose it sounds easy. Okay, I'll do the things that make me better. I'll study, I'll do a PhD, I'll train every day. But I've also read and heard you say that, you were the fat gym owner that was eating junk food in private, wearing baggy clothes,
Yep.
completely, out of integrity. Obviously, you've had your own experience, I assume, self-sabotage, all of those things that people might say, oh, but I sabotage, oh, but I procrastinate, insert other thing. Do you still have those pop up? Do you still procrastinate? Do you still find sabotagey patterns and behaviors? And what is that step or process that's helped you to go from awareness to actually doing and becoming?
Wow. Very good questions by you. I love talking to you. Yeah, you're exactly right. So I went through a period of time, to your point of a gym owner who was fat and baggy track pants, where I kind of lost my way. I would say, oh, well, not lost my way, but I got to a point where I owned 3 gyms and 2 other businesses. I had over 100 staff. I had 5 standalone premises. I was writing for the Herald Sun in Melbourne. I was writing my first book. I was uh, lecturing at university. And from the outside looking in, it was all shiny and Craig was crushing it. Um, but when no one was looking, because I'm a foodie, right? So my drug of choice is food. And so I almost treat myself like an alcoholic would around booze. So it's not a great idea for an alcoholic to have a bit of booze. Let's
Mm,
not open that door. Oh,
mm,
I'll just drink on the weekend. Yeah, we know that's not a great idea. So for me, yeah, I kind of just started to eat a bit of stuff that I hadn't eaten for a long time. And that kind of got a little bit bigger and bigger. But I would only do it when no one was looking because, insecure, big ego. I didn't want people to know what I was, all that kind of shit. And so 100% did that in my mid 30s. And I, uh, I got to the point where I just, I went, okay, hands in the air. This is what I'm doing. And what's interesting for me over the last 10 years doing my job, whatever, coach, speaker, all those things, is I find the more that I talk about without trying to bore people, but I own up to my own stuff. Like, am I an overthinker? Sometimes, yeah. Do I get trapped in ego? Of course. Have I ever lied? A million times, right? Because people go, oh, I don't lie. Well, that's a lie. You lie. Now, I'm not talking about telling people I won the fucking Olympic gold medal, but, just stuff where, yeah, I can't catch up with you because of this. Well, that's not true. I don't want to catch up with you. I'm just, but I
yeah.
don't want to, right? So, of course, we're all human, we're all flawed, but I think the challenge is not to be perfect, but to be better, and then figure out what better means to you. But yeah, for me, I think while there's still work to go and I'm still a work in progress, the food stuff has been under control for a long time, and the weight stuff and the bullshitting people, that's been the best part of 25 years. But yeah, I still need to be careful that I don't get trapped in ego or fear-based behavior or insecurity or imposter syndrome or all of those things, which are, just a minute away from me, all the
Mm,
time. And
mm,
that's, like you would know yourself, like some of the people that I worked with when I was doing more one-on-one coaching and mentoring and PTing, and some of the people that I work with were real high profile, real famous, real wealthy, entertainers, athletes, politicians. And some of those people that from the outside looking in were absolutely flying.
mm,
When you pull back the curtain and you spend time with them, you're like, oh, this is a fucking train wreck. Oh, this is,
mm.
oh
Yeah.
my goodness. This is a psychological and emotional train wreck and
Mm,
medicated for anxiety and depression and sleeplessness. And I don't mean that in a nasty way. I mean that in oh, okay, so what you see isn't really what you get. And they, once people trusted me and I knew them and they knew me, we could really work on the real issues. And the issues weren't really their biceps or triceps or their bum. It was
mm,
more, let's talk about that internal landscape. Let's talk about that.
mm. So what I hear, correct me if I'm wrong, for you it was a case of self-awareness of like, I actually don't like who I've become. I've become overweight. I'm hiding things. I need to be real with myself. Wait for the pain to get bad enough to actually make a move? And now 25 years on, it's just like, well, I just made a decision every day to do the hard thing. Is it that simple?
Yeah, yes and no. So that's a great question. So um, here's what I don't think we can do forever. I don't like a lot of people go, oh, motivation comes and goes. I put up a post about motivation a couple of hours ago, and somebody wrote, yeah, motivation's temporary, discipline's the key. And I didn't write back because I didn't want to start a thing, but I'm like, well, discipline's not the key either. Like motivation's good when it's there, discipline, self-control, willpower, all those things, great. But
Mm,
none of those of themselves are solutions
mm,
to long-term stuff. So I, my do I go through peaks and troughs of motivation? Of course. The challenge is not to stay perpetually motivated or disciplined. The challenge is to stay proactive and productive and effective, or in other words, doing what you need to do to live in alignment with your values and goals, whether or not you're in the zone or not. And
mm,
the way that you do that is you build habits that are hardwired into your subconscious. So over time, you have created a new normal. You've
mm,
created a new normal. So your normal, like my normal is lift weights for an hour. My normal is walk 15,000, 12,000 steps a day, rock bottom. My normal is study for 2 or 3 hours a day. And that's just mine. That doesn't need to be anyone else's, right?
mm,
But when you build kind of an operating system for you, like we have so many processes and operating systems and protocols in business and science and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, what's the best protocol for you? Because the
mm,
best protocol for me would be terrible for you and vice versa. So
mm,
we're trying to figure out, well, for Craig Harper or Breanna May, based on their individual needs, physiological, psychological, emotional, professional, personal, blah, blah, relational, like what's the best thing for you to do? What's the
mm,
best thing for you to do? Let's not overthink it. Let's not go down the rabbit hole for 3 years.
mm,
But, let's start. Let's take a step. And because the other thing with the human experience is we're always producing results, and our results will tell us what's working and what's not and what needs to be tweaked.
mm. I just love how I feel like you bring an intersection together of ultimately your answer is habits and action. That's actually how you change. Habits, action, doing. And yet there's this mental, cognitive self-awareness piece that's also like, your PhD, and bringing the two together so that you're not stuck in thinking, but also you're doing the action without reflecting on, is this action? So it's that bothness that I just love that you do in everything that you teach.
Yeah,
And
thank you. I mean, you think about the body and the mind and the emotions just as one, there's many other intersecting variables, as you said, but your mind doesn't operate in isolation. Every thought has a consequence.
mm,
Every emotion has a consequence. If right now I think I'm in danger, but I'm not in danger, right? Let's say right now I'm totally safe. I don't know if I've done this example with you. Forgive me if I have. But if I'm sitting in my chair at home alone, which I am, I'm in my office on mic, and I think I'm in danger, that's just a thought. That's a psychological construct. But the reality, the real world reality is I'm not in danger at all. But I think I am. There's going to be an emotional response, which will be terror or anger or uh, s- um, fear or anxiety or whatever. There's going to be that. And then on top of that, well, so that's psychological and emotional. And now my body goes, oh shit. Now my heart rate goes up. Now my blood pressure goes up. Now my breathing gets fast. Now my sympathetic nervous system switches on, fight or flight. And then my endocrine system goes, I better produce some cortisol because there's some bad shit going to happen. And
mm,
then all of this cascade of physiology is intertwined with my emotions, is off the back of a thought that I had that isn't even real. Well, the
mm,
thought is real,
mm,
but the story of the thought is erroneous.
mm,
So your mind is basically the control room for your life. And if you can't control your mind, you cannot control your life.
mm. Can you override? How often do you just override your mind? And when does that then become problematic? If you're consistently and constantly overriding, is that the answer too? I don't want to go to the gym today, or I can't do this. There's no way I can do this. I can't jump on this podcast. I can't talk to that person. I can't ring that. I can't pitch myself. How often is the work that you teach people in overriding their own mental stories?
Wow, these are some of the best questions I've ever been asked. I love being on your show. You know why? Because I get asked so many of the same things, and I don't think you've asked me one of those typical questions, right? And
Thanks.
you're also testing me. So let's say up front, thinking happens because of you and despite you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's conscious thinking, and then there's just this random shit that you're like, where on earth? Like, what? What?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to kill my neighbor. What?
Yes.
There's that. There's the
Yeah.
weird, like, I don't even know where that thought, where that idea came from. Right. So there's the recognition. And then and this is the metacognitive process that we spoke about earlier, where you can recognize your thoughts without becoming them.
Mm.
It's like, this is my metaphor or analogy that I use with people. I go, let's say your mind is like a service station. This is weird, or a petrol station, and a car pulls in, and a car is a thought, and that it just pulls in. Now you can go and get in that car, and you can become a passenger or a driver in that car. And then it pulls out of the service station, and now you and it are one, right? Whereas I can also recognize thoughts that I don't want to operationalize, I don't want to do anything with, and I just recognize them for what they are, which is maybe a dumb idea,
Mm.
maybe a fear-based construct.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see where that's coming. Like right now, I could go, I'm doing a terrible job. Nobody's going to listen to this. Nobody's going to like this. Breanna hates me. I'm never going to get asked back. Right? There's this
Mm.
whole, and all of that is based on, or potentially based on, fear or insecurity, or a combination of the two. And then if I lean into that, or whoever leans into whatever version of that it is for them, now my body gets hijacked by my fear. And
Mm.
now I build for myself a psychological and emotional prison. And now I'm
Mm.
in that. And now
Mm.
here's a million things I won't do because I know I'll fail. I know I'll be bad. I know I'll be embarrassed. I know people won't like me. I know it won't work. I know I can't go to the gym for this reason. I know I can't that. I could never start a business. I could never do a degree. I couldn't. And I tell myself all these stories about the things that I can't do and couldn't do. And then I'm metaphorically sitting on my hands, and then I open my eyes and I'm 50. And then
Mm.
I say something like, how did my life end up like this? This wasn't my plan. Like, I feel that people have got way more ability and potential than they understand. I'll also say that not everyone can do everything, of course, but as somebody who is innately not particularly hugely talented, and I've done some really cool things just because I, did some work and kept doing, I go, oh, I get how this works. This is not going well because I'm brilliant. This is going well. Like my podcast, I'm nearly up to 2,000. Well, the first 600 episodes, I lost money. Now, I know people who go, I started a podcast, the market's too saturated, it didn't work. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. How many shows did you do? And they go, 11.
Yeah.
And I go, 11?
Yeah.
I go, I did 2.5 years, 600 episodes before I made $1 or got a sponsor. And they're like, oh. So, and I mean, but also we tend to tell ourselves stories that will support whatever it is that we've done.
And then you're creating a bias that you'll always see evidence for. So if some of the work is to observe your thoughts without getting involved, getting in the metaphorical car, what about the other way around when you're feeling an emotion in the body, but you actually need your mind to take over? You need your mind to override. Say, for example, my body says I'm fucking petrified, I'm shaking, I'm nervous, I don't want to do it. It's a physiological response. Is it also the other way where you can go, I'm not getting invested in my body, I'm not letting my body, like, which one is the driver, or are you just watching all of it? And as this mighty observer, controlling both however you like.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You
Does that make
finished or you got
sense?
more? Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So what drives what? Does my physiology drive my mind? Does my mind drive my physio? And the answer is both. Both influence each other. So for example, if you are one of the people who has panic attacks or an anxiety disorder, you don't choose that. You don't want that. And that happens. And that when you start to get into that stress state where your body is hypervigilant and all those things that blood pressure, adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine, sympathetic nervous system, blah blah blah, all that's being hijacked, right? That is very hard to think your way out of, right? But so I was actually I'll tell you two things, two ideas. So I was with a friend recently, a guy who super cool, but has panic attacks.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say and has panic attacks, right? And cool. And we were together, we were talking about stuff, and I didn't see it coming. He didn't see it coming, but he started to, I'm like, are you all right? He goes, and I knew that he did, but I'd never been with him when he had a panic attack. And he started to have a panic attack, shortness of breath, looked really distressed, like all this stuff. And so I said, so what you don't want to do when you're with someone who's having a panic attack is you don't do anything to exacerbate that. You don't want to jump on board the anxiety train with them, right?
Yeah.
So I go, all right, so what's going on for you now? He goes, oh, I just feel da-da-da. And I go, oh, wow. I go, how many times do you reckon? And so I'm just curious. I just go, how many times do you reckon this has happened in your life? And he goes, in my life? I go, your life? He goes, 1,000. And I go, oh, and you're still here, right? He goes, well, yeah. And I go, so you're not going to die? He goes, no, you're not going to die. I go, well, that's good. I go, so, all right, so I might go lie in the hammock then. And and then he laughs, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we recognize, this is not fun. It kind of feels shit, but I'm not going to die. I don't die from these. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, all right, right? And then the other thing, which is just recognizing a feeling or an emotion or an experience without becoming it, right? Where this doesn't now become who you are, Rather, this is a thing that I'm going through now. It will stop soon because it
Mm,
always stops soon. And I know I
mm,
feel like it's going to kill me, but it
mm,
isn't. It isn't,
mm,
right? So safe in that knowledge. And the other thing that we can do from a purely physiological point of view, which really does help psychologically and emotionally, is like there are a bunch of little practices, but one of the simplest ones, which I'm sure you know of, is just box breathing,
mm,
where box breathing is something like um, where we consciously take a big breath for 5 seconds, just breathe in, big breath, 5 seconds, and then hold it for 5 seconds, and then breathe out slow and long for 5 seconds. And at the end of that exhale, you hold your breath again for five, and then you take another. And by the time you've been through that, breathe out, hold, breathe in, hold. By the time, so that's a 20-second circuit. By the
mm,
time you've done that 5 times, that's 100 seconds.
mm,
Literally, you can see people's heart rate come down, blood pressure come down, face color change, anxiety drop, because what you're doing is you're turning on your parasympathetic nervous system.
mm,
So you're literally changing the thing that makes you feel stressed.
mm,
And, that's not a cure, but that's definitely um, a nice little intervention that works really well for a lot of people. So yeah,
mm,
but in answer to your question specifically, it's a two-way kind of thing. Yeah.
mm.
Not
It's so
one or the other, it's
fascinating.
both. And the funny thing also, I'll shut up after this, is that, in research and medicine and science, like we go, oh, here's the mind, let's study it. And then over there, oh, there's the emotions, let's study them. And then over
Mm,
there in the other room, let's study the body. I'm like, no, look, it's understandable for the way that
yeah.
research operates, but the truth is it's one system.
Mm.
Everything affects everything, the human system.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's why, for me personally, my own context, I've been so frustrated over the last few years with most medical systems because they are so separate and individual, and not a lot is addressing the whole system. But as you said, like, you can understand why. You need, I guess, specialists in certain fields, but specialists do one thing and then it knocks the other thing out of whack. And it's yeah. I won't harp on about the medical system, but I do want to ask you to harp on for just a couple rapid fire questions to wrap this up.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Well, actually, I don't know that I'm ready, but I think I'm ready.
You can do hard things, Harps. It's all good. Ready? It is. Okay, question one. What's one hard truth that most people aren't ready to hear but really fucking need to?
They like the idea of transformation and growth and improvement, but they won't do the work.
Oof, so good. What does success mean or look to you like now? And how has it changed over the years?
So success for me is more about what's happening internally.
Mm,
It used to be more external.
mm. What emotion is the hardest for you to sit with?
Uh, uh, like broadly speaking, guilt.
Mm,
Guilt. Yeah. I feel guilty about a few things I've done and not done in my life. Nothing criminal, but
mm,
you know, that if I could turn back time, in the words of Cher.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, for me, guilt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's a spiritual or woo-woo concept, idea, philosophy that you low-key sort of believe?
Um, I truly believe that my life, well, my intention is that my life isn't about me, but the fact that I'm human and self-centered and selfish and all of those things, I truly believe that if I have a purpose bigger than me, um, one, I'm better for everyone. I'm a better person to be around. I'm a better mentor, coach, teacher, human being, friend, son. And also, my life goes better. I'm better. The more self absorbed I am, which I can be pretty good at that,
Mm,
the worse my life is. So for
mm,
me, and it's very cliche, right? And people say, I want to have a purpose bigger than me and all of that. And I get it, but I actually do. And I mean, I was quite independently wealthy by the time I was 30, and I had a whole bunch of stuff and money and cars and houses and uh and there's no ego in that. That's just the practical reality of where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of all of that box ticking and success and outside looking in thumbs up approval, I was the most miserable I'd ever been in my life.
Mm,
So for me, it's about building emotional and spiritual and psychological wealth.
mm. And well, you mentioned spiritual beliefs. You're a scientist. You are studying a PhD. Do you believe in things like the law of attraction? Do you do any practices that are a little more on that side of the spectrum, or where does that all sit for you?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the law of attraction in terms of the very commercial kind of, sit on the couch and, think about it kind of at all. That's just me. But I think that we create, there are a lot of variables that are out of our control. But for the most part, you know, you're not going to accidentally end up happy. You're not going to accidentally end up successful. You're not
Mm,
going to accidentally land on your feet. You're going to do the work, or you're not going to do the work. And so there's a bit of luck. There's a bit of, is there an intelligence bigger than us that we can't really comprehend, or is there a divine source that can guide me and that loves me and all of that stuff? The answer is I don't know.
mm,
But the answer is also, I think there might be. Now,
mm,
I come from a very religious and spiritual background. So that might be
mhm.
my fear talking. That
Yeah.
might be my Catholic guilt talking. And then after I was a Catholic, I went into, fundamental Christianity for quite a long time. So that might, but for me, I've had quite a few experiences in my life which are illogical and inexplicable. And this is also someone who's never had alcohol or drugs. So I wasn't high.
Mm,
I wasn't
mm,
high.
mm,
And there's just, for me, there's too many things that happen that it could be uh, a coincidence. But, I don't know. I think, and the beauty, like, let's be honest, like really none of us know what happens when we die.
mm,
And and there's give or take 4,000 minor religions in the world and 12 major religions in the world, give or take, and pretty much every person in every religion believes that they're the right religion. So we're in the right group, you're in the wrong group. If you're a
mm.
Christian, you're in the right group. If you're a this or a that, if Muslims think they're in the right group, atheists think that we're all crazy. Whatever. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But I'm not interested in being right or wrong. I'm interested in, and this is going to sound really cliche and cheesy, but I'm genuinely interested in love and being loving and whatever that looks like. And for some people, it's a hug. For some people, it's quality time. For some people, it's compassion and understanding. And for some people, it's, here's a chicken casserole. And for some people, it's, we totally don't agree on anything, but I'm still going to love you.
Mm, I love that. Final two, rapid fire. If you could whisper one thing to every human being on the planet, what would you whisper in their ear?
I want to say you're okay, but it's just not true because not everybody's okay. Um, I guess. See, I think about what's going on in the world right now, and this is really tricky for me to answer
Mm,
because I think what I would whisper to people like you and me who live in relative luxury
mm,
and comfort and convenience is not what I would whisper in the ear of the 2 million people who don't have fresh water, 2 billion people who don't have fresh water every day,
yeah.
you know? So I probably can't give you an answer that wouldn't be misleading or cheesy, but, you know, I mean, I don't know. I
Mm,
just think yeah, that's really hard. That's a good question. I don't have an answer for you. And I never say I
mm.
don't have an answer, but I wouldn't be genuine if I said, oh, I would say this to everyone in the world, because I think the most powerful thing for someone is going to be completely inappropriate for someone else.
Yeah, totally understand that. That's so true. So if you were to put a message on a billboard, let's say in our context for people listening who we're going to
Yeah.
assume you're mostly
Yep.
Australian, mostly a bit of America, what's
Yeah.
the message? What's the final Craig Harper message that you want to distill to everyone?
So it might be, don't let your mind get in the way of your power, potential, and possibilities.
So good. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. I just absolutely love the way your brain ticks. It's been a great chat, and I'm sure I'll be back in your DMs asking to get you on again in a few months, years.
Wow. Shout out to you and all your listeners, and thank you. Thanks for I really enjoyed that. Like, truly one of the best. I do about probably one of these a week on someone else's show, and definitely this is the best chat I've had this year on someone else's show. So well done you. Keep up the good work. You're a great teacher and you're an inspiration and you're a great coach. And I know lots of people love you and look up to you. So thank you as well.
Thanks so much, Craig.